Welcome to Bloody Maryz, a queer horror movie podcast.
This episode, we're looking at Nightbreed.
I'm the rotting old woman in the bathtub, Sean.
And I'm the spoopy child under your duvet, Alex.
We are horror nerds and flatmates from Hackney, and our pronouns are they, them. Some content notes for this episode. We will be swearing as usual, and we will also be talking about some violence. It's a fairly content note-free episode, apart from, as always, huge spoilers. Definitely watch the film first if you plan on watching it, and as always, discretion is advised.
So, Nightbreed was released in September 1990. It was written and directed by Clive Barker, who also did the screenplay and based on one of his books. So, very Clive Barker. It also features music from Danny Elfman, who in that same year did the music for Dick Tracy and also Edward Scissorhands.
Busy bee.
Yes. And yeah, just the year before did the Batman film. Well, actually, I think he's been constantly busy since the 90s, to be Barker was given a 11 million budget, which is a considerable increase from his 2 million, which he had to work on Hellraiser. His goal was to actually make a sort of Star Wars of horror films with Nightbreed. Clive Barker always loved monsters. I think that's kind of quite evident, and felt that there's a corner of all of us that envies their powers and would love to live forever or to fly or change shape at will. So when I came to make a movie about monsters, I wanted to create a world we'd feel strangely at home in. He was interested in creating a horror mythology from the ground up and developing characters that would live on in sequels.
From the ground up.
Hey. Barker's original version ran 2.5 hours, and Fox asked him to cut an hour, prompting editor Richard Marden, also who worked on Hellraiser 1 and 2, and something for you, Sean, Carry On film, Carry On England.
Oh, the worst one.
Oh, okay. So he left the project. He was annoyed about that. Nightbreed was cut to 2 hours and then again to 102 minutes. At the time of its release, the film was a commercial and critical failure. In several interviews, Barker protested that the film company tried to sell it as a standard horror, flash slasher film, and the powers that be had no real working knowledge of the Nightbreed story. Apparently as well, like, for advertising the film, they weren't allowed to show any monsters in the trailer on TV, and so it made it really hard to show what it was really about.
Although saying that, in defense of the marketing people, I have watched it and also don't really have a working knowledge of the Nightbreed story.
So over time, Barker expressed disappointment with the final cut approved by the studio and always longed for a recovery of the reels of the film so it might be re-edited. Since its theatrical release, Nightbreed has achieved cult status, and actually in 2014 the original film elements for much of the cut material were re-obtained and edited into a director's cut.
How long is the director's cut, do you know?
I don't. I think it's like 2.5 hours. But yeah.
Because the version we watched is 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, which made me think that it must have been like a different version from the theatrical cut, which must have been even weirder if it was so short. But anyway.
I'm not sure the added length did anything.
Stop saying
clarifying the plot. I didn't hate it. It's just clunky.
So for Nightbreed in the city of Midian, Barker enlisted his special effects makeup collaborator Bob Keane, who worked on Hellraiser 1 and 2 and Candyman. In the beginning, Keane and Barker had full creative control of designing the Nightbreed and the story. Eventually, though, the studio got cold feet on the 2.5-hour romantic dark fantasy that made the monsters and heroes. So they pushed to make Dr. Decker more of a central character. Apparently producers expressed concern that the monsters are the good guys, to which Barker replied, "That's the point." planned stop-motion animation sequences involving creatures in Medium were trimmed and scrapped. Scenes were edited out, and more scenes with Decker were added to expand his character and motivation. The idea was to make it more of a straightforward horror film. In the cuts, they also lost a scene featuring Susie Quattro, who was apparently meant to play Laurie's flirty rocker friend. And apparently Neil Gaiman was also an extra in the club scene that was cut from the final cut. Club scene. You know the club scene. Keane wasn't the only Hellraiser connection either. Doug Bradley, who plays Pinhead in Hellraiser, plays Lylesburg, who's that kind of old man with the cuts on his face, which turned out to be eyes.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And the Chatterbox Cenobite, actor named Nicholas Vince, appears as Kinski, who's the moon-faced or banana-faced man, however you want to see it. And Simon Bramford plays Onaka, who's the sailor one, and in the Hellraiser films was the Butterball character.
Oh.
Butterball was the sort of larger one with the sunglasses.
Yeah, which was the sailor? Who's the sailor one in this, though?
The fit one with the kind of bird necklace.
Oh, and the chest tattoos.
Boobs, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was a fitty.
Yeah. Oliver Parker appeared briefly in the first two Hellraiser films as a workman and mover, but then also as in Nightbreed as Peliquin, who's the kind of guy who looks like he has like flashy dreads. You know, that guy.
He's the one that bites Spoon.
Yes, he does bite Boone.
Boon biter.
Boon biter. Boon booby biter. Other notable cast members, obviously Decker, who's played by David Cronenberg, and a young Hugh Quashie, who Brits will recognise as long-standing recurring character Rick Griffin in Holby City.
I mean, I don't think that's any more silly than what it's the actual case.
It's Holby City.
And apparently he's been in over 600 episodes of Holby City, which apparently has over 1,000 episodes.
Which is
bonkers.
Which is a horrific aside.
That is the scariest part of this whole thing.
Finally, just some random people who added to it. So the horror writers for Nightmare on Elm Street 5, John Skipp and Craig Spector, have cameos as corpses in the hotel room scene where everyone's dead.
Oh, yeah.
So the film starts in kind of like a spooky sort of like misty scene, and you start seeing flashes of kind of like these kind of fantastical monsters like running around, sort of larking about, and it looks like someone's being chased essentially.
It also looks like the beginning of Cats or something.
Oh yeah,
you know, kind of like Jellicle Cats.
Yes, it's very much like Cats. That's a spoiler, by the
way. In that it's completely plotless.
Sadly, no musical numbers. And so, yeah, like it's this person running away, and they get some gated bit, and then he wakes, and then we see beautiful Boone in bed, who's then straddled by his girlfriend, yeah, so then they have a little chat about going away and getting away from it all. Boone describes the dream of Midian, where a city where monsters are accepted. Boone talks a little bit about how like his nightmares are getting less bad, and that it's not like as big a deal as it used to be. And at this point, he gets a call from someone who ends up being his psychotherapist from the past, called Dr. Philip Decker, and he calls him into his office to see him. He suggests that night, but then he's like, "No, I'll see you tomorrow." So he turns up at the office. And Decker is like, the police came to see me, and I think you did a load of murders, by the way, and maybe your dreams weren't actually dreams.
Yeah, I thought this was really weird, because it's like the police have said, asked me if any of my clients might be, or patients might be might have done these. And it's just like, why would one of your patients have done this? Like, are people who are going to see therapists all likely to be murderers?
I know I am. And so yeah, he puts a lot of photos out on the table and then says like, "Oh yeah, you talked about these in your sessions." And he's like, "I don't remember that." And then he's like, "I'll play you the tapes," but then he doesn't. And it sort of becomes apparent actually after the fact that it's actually Decker who's killed the patients and is trying to frame Boone.
Actually, when do we see that murder scene? Isn't that before that? The couple and the kid.
Oh,
yeah, before that scene.
Yeah. So yes, rewind to a moment before this, where it's in between him going to see him actually, where we see a young family lolloping around in their home, having a lovely time, giggling and tickling.
Just the old giggle and tickle.
And a little boy calls for his mom, and she goes, and he's like, "I've seen a bad man," and she's like, "Oh, don't worry, go to sleep. I'll come up and see you in a bit." She goes to the kitchen, opens the fridge door, and then when she closes it, it's a scary monster.
Classic.
Who is Boone in disguise, and he's wearing...
It's not Boone.
Oh, not Boone, sorry.
The doctor.
Dr. Decker.
I like how he looks, actually. He's got like a mask on and it's like little buttons for his eyes, which remind me of Coraline. Yeah, but... and like a sort of sloping mouth off to one side. But he reminds me about a bit more like a normal-headed size, a normal-sized head version of the one from Trick or Treat.
Oh,
you know, the big kind of huge round sack head.
Oh, we've watched 2 films with sack heads.
That is the theme for this this duo. Be sacked ghouls.
So yeah, then he kills the whole family. You don't see him killing the little anyone in detail, especially the little boy. But yeah, the mum really gets it, and she knows how she jobs through.
Oh no, we do see into detail of the dad because he comes behind him when he's watching
a
sport and slits his throat.
Yeah. That's right.
I think he's playing icy, pucky, slidey.
Yes. So anyway, back to the doctor's office. He's convinced Boone that he's done all these murders, and he has 24 hours to turn himself in. At this point, he also gives him some medication to try and calm him down, which turns out to be LSD. So yeah, Boone's really freaking out.
If he wants him to turn himself in, and because this is the first time I'd seen it, at this point to me it wasn't clear that Dr. Decker was the murderer. I guess it wouldn't be at this point. But so does that mean he would have stopped doing the murders then, if he wanted him to hand himself in?
Excellent point.
Thank you.
I guess actually, like, because he just uses a knife, he could carry on. Just like, I think most murders are like done with a knife.
Maybe just slightly change his MO.
Yeah.
Or blame it on another one of his patients.
I found another one.
You also said that you were doing murders. Yeah, it's like maybe you should have disclosed this sooner.
So while Boone's all fucked up on the LSD, he gets hit by a truck and taken to the hospital.
You just have quite a rough ride in terms of injuries and deaths.
While he's there, he overhears who looks like a crazy person ranting about Midian, and he's like, "What are you talking about? I want to go there." And the guy's like, "Oh my God, you're meant to take me there, aren't you? You're like my test." And he said, like, to prove that I'm really from Midian, I'll show you. And pulls out these funny like thumb blade things, and cuts off a lot of his head.
Yeah, it kind of like it looks like he's trying to peel his face off or something.
Like scalps himself basically. It's like quite gruesome actually. So yeah, he's then in the kerfuffle of him doing that.
Oh, it's quite the to-do.
It's quite a nonsense. The police arrive with Dr. Decker, and because of all the kind of craziness, he ends up escaping Boone while they're sedating, who ends up being Narcissus from the Midian.
Has straggly hair.
the house of Midian.
Come through my Mars.
Yes. So while he escapes, he gets directions. Sorry, I forgot to mention he gets directions from Narcissus to get to Midian before he leaves. So then he's just driving there, and he finds a massive graveyard, and he goes in, and he immediately encounters two of the Nightbreed, which doesn't seem like they're hiding themselves very well.
No,
just lurking around in the cemetery anyway. It's the two characters, Kinsky, I don't know how to say that. Yeah, Kinsky, and Peliquin. And Peliquin's like,
I'm thinking like, oh, I went down to St. James's Park to take a look at the Peliquins.
Peliquin's like really into Boone, like he would be.
Which one is he?
Peliquin's the fleshy dreads guy.
Oh yeah, I think it's a fleshy drag queen.
Extra flat. And yeah, so then he's just like, oh, I'm gonna eat you, your meat. And he says, you're a natural, which they end up referring to like humans as basically as naturals. And then he was just like, he keeps saying like, yeah, you're natural, not Nightbreed. And then he's like, I killed people, I deserve to be here. And then he goes, shut the fuck up. And then he was like, I want meat. At which point, the sailor one, Kinsky, I think wrestles him away, and then he's like, get away, and like Boone escapes outside. But
he does take a bite out of him.
Oh yeah, he just give him a little bite, love bite on his chest. So then he runs out of the graveyard, and outside waiting for him is a load of the Popo and the doctor, and they just shoot him.
Because the doctor goes up to him, speak to him, and it's like, he's got a gun, he's got a gun.
And then the guy from Holby City, the inspector, comes
quite irresponsible for a doctor.
Yeah. Comes and I was like, where's the gun? He's like, oh, he reached inside of his jacket. So kind of standard to police horrible story. He's in the morgue, and Laurie, his girlfriend, who I haven't really talked about very much because she's not in it tons at this point, is like sad and sees the body and obviously Decker's been like, yes, he did all the murders at this point, so he's definitely kind of like, even though he's dead. So actually, the mortician removes all the bullets and leaves the room, and then all this kind of magical, sparkly energy happens to him, and he wakes up, and it's they focus on the bite on his chest. So obviously, the bite turns him into Nightbreed, and he jumps out the window.
It's almost like kind of modern day vampire-y. Sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah,
we'll bite you and you'll become one of us.
Yeah, I didn't.
Actually, that does make sense, because then at the end, sorry to completely disregard the rest of the plot, but he refuses to bite Laurie.
Right. Yeah, because I just thought he was Nightbreed because he was having all the dreams about it, but I thought he'd just been there and then come alive or something and then forgotten about it.
But yeah, I didn't necessarily make the connection that as well.
So at this point he then turns up. Well, it's weird because he actually turns up at Midian, and he's taken downtown to Midian Real, which is under the graveyard, and has an initiation ceremony. At this point, he's wearing like a leather jacket but no top, and his jeans, and it's like, where did you get your clothes from? But anyway, and he's given an initiation ceremony, and told about Baphomet. They pronounce it Baphomet, who's
they're funny.
Baphomet came to slay. And they give him like an initiation ceremony, which involves like one of them putting their hand in some magical jizz and putting it on his chest. And it's like, ouchie, and then he's Nightbreed. Cut back to Laurie. She's trying to figure out what happened, obviously, like you would. She starts investigating Midian, and ends up going to a town nearby and befriending a woman called Cheryl Ann.
She's cool.
Yeah, she is cool. I like Cheryl Ann. So she ends up finding the directions to Midian from the bar person, I think, who just says it's under the graveyard. Or...
it's not very hidden, is it?
No, I think it'd be harder to get to. So yeah, Cheryl Ann and her head off, and they decide to go together to hit up the cemetery the next
She's
day.
like, yeah, I'll come with you. I don't have much to do tomorrow. In fact, I have nothing to do.
Yeah, so then so the next day they wake up and meet, and Cheryl Ann talks about how she's met some sexy dude at the bar who's a doctor or something. Oh no, she didn't say doctor, she's a businessman who obviously has a clever story.
She's a bit hungover, feeling a bit ropey.
Yeah, yeah, she's got like 2 raw eggs and a shot of some alcohol. It's like some hangover cure.
Disgusting.
Anyway, so then they go
to the vom.
Yeah, blood. I don't think I could down raw eggs on a hangover or ever. Actually, I'm not sure.
No, it's not on the top of my to-do list.
Come on, yes, do it now.
Oh no, I don't want to.
So yeah, so they go to the cemetery. Cheryl Ann decides to stay behind for no apparent reason.
She like waits at the car.
Yeah, she's like, I'll entertain myself. In a way, it sounds like it's meant to be a double entendre or something, but it's just...
Yeah, like she's just going to sit in the car and finger herself. Red raw until she comes back. Oh, Cheryl Ann. Gone too soon.
Gone too soon. Well, yes, not yet, but soon. And so then what she thinks is her lover from last night turns up. Turns out it's only Dr. Stinky Pants, isn't it? Who then murdered her. But Laurie doesn't know this because she's inside the cemetery just lolloping about. I don't know why I keep saying lolloping.
It's a film of lolloping.
Yes, it's quite a lollop.
This is actually, I think, my favourite bit of the film, this bit where she finds...
Yeah, she finds like a little weird, like, sort of pink, fleshy, wolfy sort of creature that's kind of like going... like all helpless cute. And it is very cute. And she sees a woman who we find out is called Rachel.
She's called Rachel.
I know, mild.
The rest of them are all like Kinski and Harlequin and Narcissa, and also Rachel.
Also feature Rachel. So yeah, Rachel, whose power is to transform into smoke, which we find out later. But yeah, she pleads from the shadows of the crypt for Laurie to take the creature out of the sunlight and bring it to her. You're not sure whether she's being tricked into like going underground and being killed by Nightbreed at this point, but the moment she brings the little like scraggly creature inside, she's like transforms into a little normal looking human child with lovely ginger hair
called Babette.
Yes, correct. And yeah, then Laurie's asking, like, do you know Boone? Like, where is he? And she's like, oh, you can't come down here. He hasn't got anything.
That's actually none of your business.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing my baby.
Yeah. But she's like, but also I did save your baby, so maybe I should. Yeah. Actually, before this, you find out that when when they're attacking Boone at the beginning, they also talk about the law and it being that you can't kill or attack humans. And so yeah, she's able to just kind of like push her way down into the crypt. But the moment she reaches like the bottom of the stairs, there's loads of the monsters, and she's like, no, I'm done. This is gross. And
I'm sorry, this is too spoopy.
I thought it was going to be a bit spoopy, but this is too spoopy. So she then runs off back to find Cheryl Ann, but it's not Cheryl Ann. It's Cheryl Ann's corpse.
It's Cheryl dead.
And Decca. And so Decca attempts I keep saying it. Okay. Well, it's going to be attempts from now. To use Laurie to draw Boone out of hiding. And
the attempts
Yes. And the attempts is as successful as because Boone comes out and is like, it's like, oh my god, leave her alone, and sort of chases Decker out of the graveyard.
I can't remember, is Decker wearing his mask at this point, or is he just out in normal day drag?
Well, he reveals himself to Laurie actually, because she's like, I forgot. He says like, "Hey, Laurie," and she's like, "How do you know me?"
Oh, yeah.
And he like takes his mask off, and she's like, "Oh, it's you. No." And then he puts it back on.
Okay.
I don't know why he bothers, really.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, might as well. A reveal. Everyone loves a reveal. So yeah, they're back in the graveyard, and Boone chases Decker out of the graveyard, trying to catch him to kill him, I think. But then Narcissus straddles Laurie, and she's like, "Ah!" And so he runs back to find out what's going on, and he's like,
and Narcissus's face peely-offy.
Yes, he's the face peely-offy. So Laurie wakes up in the coffin down in Midian, and Rachel's there waiting for her. And she's a bit like, "Ah!" But then sort of calms down quite a lot, weirdly. And Rachel tells her a little bit of the backstory of how they were basically hunted and persecuted, and they find their own sort of village underground. And Baphomet is the one that sort of drawed them all there. Anyway, I can't speak today. So then did.
It's very, very bold of you to host a podcast when you've just learned to speak yesterday.
Thank you. So then Babette takes her hand and shows her, like, by some psychic means, the sort of horrific war that went on between humans and the Nightbreed, with lots of Nightbreed being killed basically in horrific ways. So then she's all like cryy and like sympathetic, and understands the plight of the Nightbreed at this point. Because Boone and Laurie want to stay together, and it's not allowed by Nightbreed law, a natural and a Nightbreed can't be together, they're kicked out of Midian by Lylesburg, who's the old dude. They end up going back to the motel where they were where Laurie was staying. A cutaway segment in the meantime is that Decker finds this old dude who's quite quirky with a kind of eccentric taste, which I admire.
Is it like a shop or a station?
I think it might be a petrol station with a little like shanty house at the back. And the old man's like decorated in little like plastic toys all over his body, which is kind of unusual. Decker ends up asking the old man about Midian, and it turns out that the old man knows tons because he wants to become a member of Night.
Well, and also because everyone seems to know everything about it. It's the worst kept secret.
And so he tortures the old man and telling him how to kill Nightbreed, and finds out there's just like various ways they can all die, like bullets and sunlight and fire. Anyway, so Decker then goes back to the motel, I guess, second guessing that Laurie and Boone are going to go back there, and slaughters everyone in the motel with the aim of basically framing them and calling the police, so that when Boone is found there with all the bodies, he will be arrested again.
What is the how much does Dr. Decker already know about Midian and the Nightbreed before all of this happens?
Well, there's a funny line, and I don't know which I made a note of, but he says something like how he spent a lot of time cleaning up breeders, I guess is shortening of Nightbreed. And so I think basically he knows a lot about it, and he hates Nightbreed. But you don't get that backstory, so you don't know why he hates Nightbreed. And yeah, like, obviously, weirdly, that he hasn't ever discovered Midian, given that everyone just knows where it is.
And you just go through a gate and you're there. Yeah. I guess maybe his backstory would have been explored in the 10-hour director's cut.
Yeah. But I guess it makes sense. But it would be nice to know why he hates Nightbreed. But yeah, you never really find out. But that his sole purpose is to destroy them. And I'm guessing that all the families that he's killed are meant to be like DL Nightbreed, people who are living in the real world, but who knows? So then Boone and Laurie go back. Laurie notices through a hole in the wall that there's all the bodies. Boone goes into the room, sees all the blood, and is like, and returns to his Nightbreed form, which is kind of the same as him, but just with some curly lines on his face.
Yeah, he really, really reminds me, especially when he does little transformation bits, but he really reminds me, I could say in and out of drag, as of Angel in the Buffy series.
Oh yeah.
He's got that kind of heavy brow, and he looks like he'd fuck you and then beat you up.
So then he just can't resist the sweet blood, and dips his fingers into it, and then like kind of deep throats it in quite an erotic fashion. Then the police all arrive and arrest Boone. While Boone is in prison, Decker starts sort of like rabble-rousing and convincing the police that there's like monsters living underneath the graveyard, which obviously everyone already knew, so I don't know why it's a big surprise to the local sheriff. But yeah, so they send some people down there. They actually do find some people. Oh, they find the sailor guy, what's his name, Kinski, first, and they drag him out into the sunlight after ripping out his nipple ring, and calls him like a freak and stuff. Boone back at the police station is like basically in his cell. All the police and the sheriff come in and say, "You're a freak and a cannibal and you don't belong in this town," and then beat the shit out of him and leave him on the floor.
In a way that looks like they're gonna like it. It looks really like he puts on some black gloves, and it just looks like it's going to be really kind of like seedy. Or
like he looks like he's going behind him, but it ends up he just punches him in the back, I think, which is sort of weird. In the meantime, Laurie and Narcissus and Rachel, Smoky Rachel, form a gang to bring and release Boone out of prison. Rachel does this by becoming smoke and then getting her labs out, and then kissing one of the cops, who dies. Then they get Boone out, and they're basically the militia have all formed at this point, and they're ahead of them heading to Midian. And by the time they get there, they've already set up all the bombs and stuff, and they're all exploding it. So yeah, and then this is funny on the way. The militia are just like, "Yeah, we're going out there with God on our side," and they're just like really kind of like forcing home that they're like the good guys, basically, and Midian are like evil, even though they've done nothing to provoke them. They're innocent little monsters. So then the battle basically commences. Boone is trying to convince them that they need to try and defend themselves because they're obviously not used to fighting. And so then they're just like a big like action battle scene occurs basically. And with lots of the monsters coming out and using their special powers in cool ways. There's that porcupine lady. She gets her wabs out, seduces them, and then spikes them in the face. And
the guy with the kind of the slits in his belly where the two like kind of claw things like kind of
come out and then suck out eyeballs. Boone does some kind of impressive ninja flying kicks at people. The vigilante awful people are harassing the children, which is very mean. And then in the middle of it, Decker finds Boone, and is like, "Death everywhere, and you and me in the middle." And then they fall into the ground, and fight. And he kills Decker. He kills Decker at this point. Oh yeah, it's a really good get. The way that he kills him is cool. Like Decker like stabs him with a large like giant sword basically, and then to kill Decker, he then like hugs him basically.
Yeah, he like pulls him towards him in a sexy, painful embrace.
And throws him in. At this point, it looks like they're losing. So what they decide to do is release the Berserkers, who are only seen briefly earlier in the film, but basically they're described as monsters so bad they'll rip off your head and shit down your neck. Which that's the one line I remember from the film when I was little, because I was like, that is bad.
Those berserkers truly are berserk. And also they say like there's kind of resistance to let them out because it's like they can't be controlled.
So then they release the berserkers and they like basically rip everyone to shreds, and throw them around a lot. Yeah, and then the city of Midian is obviously like falling apart, and apparently like Baphometh's not very pleased about this, and so he decides to actually destroy it himself.
I feel like he's quite reasonable about it though, because he says, it's come to an end. No one can ever live in no home is forever. He's quite kind of like reasonable about it, and but he puts it on Boone to like rebuild or
yeah,
like,
well, they say like find him again. So yeah, he sinks into the ground before it, and I guess he's going to pop up elsewhere, and they're meant to try and find him. Yeah, and then they go out. Laurie gets hurt somehow, which I don't remember actually, and is about to die, and it's like, please turn me into Nightbreed. And Boone, gives her a little bite, and she does become Nightbreed. And then all the cops, I guess, are dead or gone, and it ends with the Nightbreed all standing triumphantly, looking over at Laurie and Boone. Representation.
Yeah.
Start with, I guess, people of color. There's, I think, one. Who's the main character?
The sheriff.
Yeah. He's an inspector. Oh. Inspector Holby City.
Yeah. Is he English?
I guess so, yeah. A lot of it was filmed in England, so
Clive Barker's English, isn't he?
Yeah. So I guess it's probably quite likely, actually.
Was he doing an American accent
now? He wasn't speaking enough to know, actually, really.
I'm sure he spoke enough for us to recognise an accent.
I mean, he wasn't given much to say. But
I guess I just always assume this sort of film is American, but... I
mean, it was based...
But he is in Holby City and presumably is English.
Yeah. And he's like well-rounded and... Well, not that well-rounded. You don't know much about his like backstory.
Yeah, but he is... He's not like a force for evil, necessarily. No. Like, he is kind of part of who turn out to be the baddies, but I feel like he's acting in good faith.
Yeah.
But also a cab.
Yeah, a cab. It doesn't seem like any of the Nightbreed people of color, so
although there is some culturally appropriate fleshy dreadlocks.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess dreadlocks made out of flesh.
Is Baphomet not played by a black person?
I thought that, but I tried to find out more information about him, but he was only Baphomet in the film, and there's no other information about him.
No pictures of him or anything.
And the picture of him is as Baphomet.
Yeah. I mean, he is painted black, but he looks, I think he was...
His features are quite black. He's also quite fit, to be honest.
Yeah, he is. He could make me Baphomet. That's
so I think that's it on POC representation.
But then I guess there is like a wider reading of this that is more about race and not about queerness, because I know like we'll talk more about the kind of the queer reading of it, but like it is about a race of people
who are persecuted,
who are also considered to be kind of bad.
Yeah.
But who are actually completely harmless and just wanting to kind of exist.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know, I've never really heard any kind of readings about it as a kind of more of like a sort of a racial distinction rather than like an otherness sort of.
No, I mean, definitely it's just like an otherness, and it's more like a race. You're right, really. Yeah, because, I mean, yeah, I think that's right.
And also, I guess like as a race, it's quite a sort of like, I mean, I guess one of my big criticisms is I don't think any of the characters are really developed to the point that you give that much of a shit about them.
Yeah.
But the Nightbreed are like they're not like a homogenous race. They all have their own, they all look completely different. They all have different powers and abilities. Some of them are like dicks, but most of them are like nice.
Yeah, which is, I guess, why maybe the reading of them being like a culture or a community, sort of like, like LGBT, like is sort of maybe more fitting, because they are sort of a broad spectrum of people under one.
But so are races, like that's the point.
Oh yeah, right. So we'll do women.
I feel like Laurie has two really nice relationships in this with women.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She has a relationship with Cheryl Ann, who is with us far too briefly because she's one of my favorite characters. I mean, they are talking about her trying to find Boone, but it's her trying to save him, not trying to like
Yeah, they're not talking about it.
yeah, no, like, oh, I need him to love me. It's like, no, I mean, he needs to be rescued. So she's going to be the kind of the knightess in shining armor dress. And Charlotte is just like, I think it's actually one of my favorite bits in the film where, you know, like, because they there's this thing about like kind of in clubs and bars, like the women's toilets being like a safe space for women where they kind of meet friends that they've never met, and you know, while they're doing their makeup or whatever, and they instantly form this bond where all of the guys in the bar are like these kind of like lechy horrible men, and then they're in there and she's just like, oh, you need some help, I'll drive you there, like and it's a really like nice moment. But the other relationship, which is very lovely, is with Rachel.
Yeah.
Because she, from the very beginning, I assumed she was being kind of lured and tricked with that little kind of wolf version child, bald, wolfy thing.
Beauty.
A beauty, known later as Babette. Babette, you didn't see that coming.
Did I stutter?
All Babettes are off. Yeah, so she initially like saves her baby, and then she saves her again at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
She protects her from being killed by the kind of invaders.
Yeah, she becomes a strong Nightbreed ally.
Yeah,
in the film, I think. Yeah, and all the female monsters are pretty cool as well. But I mean, they're not very developed, but they're pretty awesome. Queer representation. Yeah, I mean, like I think there is one actual maybe overt, like.
Who do you think that is?
I think it's the guy with the slits in his stomach and the blue demon with the horns.
The one that I said looked like DeHoffrin.
Yeah, so their name actually is the guy with the slits is called Leroy Gom. I don't know why. And the blue demon is called Lud. So yeah, because there's a scene basically, apparently that you don't really see, well, you kind of see that they're hanging out together and they talk quite close to each other's faces, and there's kind of like an intimacy between them, but you don't know whether that's just Nightbreed way or whether that.
And also it's quite noisy down there, so you've got to get quite close to hear.
But apparently there's a scene that in the battle where Lude falls on the ground and Leroy looks around for him, and you see, apparently it's only there for a split second, but you see he bends down, like Leroy bends down to Lude, and they touch faces.
I literally barely remember these characters, let alone that scene.
But you remember Leroy with this lovely bowl of eels? Anyway, whatever.
I literally don't.
I
see. It's funny because I thought the character that I read most as gay was actually a natural, not a Nightbreed, and it was the priest.
Oh. That's interesting.
And he was like really eager to join the Nightbreed. And there was the bit where like, as soon as they said like, we don't trust you because you're a man of God or whatever, he's just like, fine, and takes off his dog collar. And he's like, take me with you. I have to see. And he also kind of reads as a bit kind of like gay anyway.
Yeah. Also, I thought Narcissus, obviously, he's quite open sexually. Some might say queer or bisexual, perhaps. Maybe pansexual. Maybe there's a word for monsters that I don't know. Monsters, sexual. Monster and natural sexual. All sexual.
I liked his little flirty bit with the sailor when he walks past and he's like, I like your tattoos.
Yeah, and it touches his chest. And yeah, that's what I thought. And then also the fact that he's just like all over Laurie and has that girlfriend who's like a corpse in a bread.
Oh, I love her. Yeah,
like dancing with
and their feet just dangling.
Also, Pelican, his early interaction with Boone, where he's like hungering for his flesh, and calling him meat, I thought was quite kind of like homoerotic-y.
Yeah, I think I mean, obviously, like, the most kind of basic queer reading of it is like, oh, these people who are seen as bad, who are in a big community that's kind of underground, it's a subculture, this sort of thing, like, I'm not sure how much I read that myself, but I think there are some really queer moments. But it's interesting to think that I get a bit confused with what they're trying to, or what Clive Barker is trying to do with this kind of narrative, because it seems like the Nightbreed aren't all good, which is good. Like they're not like kind of pure and innocent.
Yeah.
But they also so their law that they have dictates that they can't kill a natural, but it also dictates that they can't be with a natural either.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, seems kind of like anti-queer, because it's almost like they're rejecting the outside world as well, whereas like most of us who've grown up queer know that before we realize that it's better underground, we are desperately trying to be part of that world. But the other thing I found weird was Dr. Decker's kind of identity and where he fits, because he portrays the Nightbreed as evil and murderous, which they aren't, but he is. And when he is murdering, he wears a mask that makes him kind of look like he's one of the Nightbreeders.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know what that means. Like, maybe it is just that they wanted it to be more traditional horror, so they've given him like a little mask as a kind of slashery figure.
Yeah. Actually, one of the interesting quotes I read was this filmmaker Alejandro Jodorowsky, who I've never heard of.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. It's just very my natural tongue. Said that liked the film and called it the first truly gay horror fantasy epic.
That suggests that there's a large canon that followed this. I'm not sure.
And then saying that he read it as an unconsummated relationship between the Doctor and Boone, and that being the central theme.
So I saw that review, and I read it more that he read it as an unconsummated relationship between a doctor and his patient. So not necessarily about those two specifically, but more like the kind of relationship between a therapist and their patient.
Unconsummated, though. Do you mean like sexually?
Well, that is open for interpretation.
Right.
I don't think it literally means that there's anything between those two.
Yeah, because I was desperately trying, because I haven't seen that before, and I was trying to like read that into it in any way I could, and like the only bit that I vaguely saw then is like when he calls him at the beginning of the film in the middle of the night, and he's like topless on the phone, looking all sweaty, and they're just like, "You must come see me tonight," and he's like, "I can't." And that was it. Like, I was just like, I can't see any other, except the fact that he's obsessed with him and he wants to kill him. But that's a part of the Nightbreed stuff, I guess. It's not to do with him.
And also, it's like he needs a scapegoat that he can blame all of these murders on.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's, I mean, like, yeah, I can't think of any other sort of queer, I mean, except for obviously everything we've just said.
I feel like on the surface, if you read the plot, you can be like, oh yeah, I can really see the queer reading of that. But I think in kind of practice, I like watching it. It doesn't scream like a kind of queer undertone to me so much.
No, I mean,
I think it's about otherness more broadly.
Yeah, like I mean, like when he gets like I was just say circumcised, baptized.
Yes.
They say like, tonight you leave the natural world behind, and it's obviously just like, yeah, he just becomes one of them. Which I guess,
yeah. I guess the other kind of queer reference to that kind of distinction between the naturals and the Nightbreed is the fact that the sort of normal human beings are referred to as natural, as if there's something, and you assume that they're kind of, that the Nightbreed must, by that very essence, mean that they're unnatural, which is kind of what homophobes use about.
Yeah, and I was thinking about like the way that the cops refer to them as like freaks and that they're not on God's side. And obviously when the police like beat him up, I'm sure that was quite common practice of like, you know, homophobia in America and here. But yeah,
I wonder if the kind of queer reading of it is more apparent in the book. And the book's called Cabal, I think.
Yes,
which is the name that is given to Boone.
Yeah.
He becomes Nightbreed. And maybe, because I can see like a queer person writing this, it like he wrote it, but then he didn't have, as we heard in the intro, didn't have like full creative control by the end over the film.
Yeah.
So maybe a lot of that queerness was lost. But I think in essence, I can see why the way that the two communities or societies are kind of pitted against each other is, you can read it in a very queer way.
Yeah, and I wonder actually in a way whether kind of the fact that Clive Barker is gay, it sort of like means that you kind of expect it to be about queer stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I think there's an element where we have gone so into kind of like trying to come up with these kind of readings of things that we then can't distance someone's identity from what they've produced.
Yeah.
And a lot of like writers and directors have like a problem with that. Like, I don't want to just be seeing everything I see.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just about some monsters.
Yeah. I guess you can't, there's no disability.
Well, again, isn't there? Like, because if it can be an allegory for sexuality, it can also be for race and for people who look different and are differently abled and have different bodies. Like, I think that's why perhaps the queer thing doesn't work so well, because if it was written and directed in the exact same way but made by a black man, then you would be like, oh, this is obviously about race. And if it was by someone with a disability, you'd be like, this is about disability and like
how people view disability.
So I guess in a sense, its more overriding theme is one of otherness and difference that can be read, and maybe that's why it's got a cult following and why it works more now than it did then, because everyone who is from a marginalized community of some sort can be like, oh, I wonder if I can see myself in this.
Absolutely, that makes sense, actually. I also think, it's something kind of like the otherness is not just that they're just like, I don't know, just weirdos who live underground. They're also like magical kind of beings, essentially, like kind of like quite interesting and iconic,
and people from the natural side want to be like them. Like there's kind of a jealousy, because I always think like sometimes I think, God, like it kind of reminded me a bit of when, like, so queer nightlife, the good nights are always, well, no, that's not true, but there are always these good nights and good scenes that kind of are very fleeting and don't last very long. And they stop being good because straight people discover them. And then, because then they're like, oh, the queers know how to have more fun. They have all the drugs. They listen to good music. They know how to party. And then it's like, I do think that there is like, that I know you feel the same way, but there's something beautiful about being in part of a marginalized community.
Yes,
and like, I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, obviously, I would like to have
the oppression.
The oppression bits are shit. But like, I don't see straight people having the same sense of community that we do. And I'm sure like a black community in London would say the very same thing. Like, we've got our very own scene, it's ours, and it means a lot. And like, and I think that comes through in the fact that, like, the priest at the end is so desperate to be part of this that he just rips at his entire faith and job and livelihood.
Take me.
He's like, no, fine, I'm not a man of God if that's what you need me to be.
That's so true. Yeah, is there anything else in terms of representation that we need to...
I don't think so. I mean, I think the only one that we can really... like that you can really think of in a standalone way is about women, because the rest of them could so easily fit into this narrative of otherness. But should we do the awards?
Absolutely.
Da, 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 da. It's the awards.
So now that's over. What was your favorite character?
My favorite character, I had two actually. I like Narcissus's girlfriend, the skeleton bride. I like that when they danced, her feet just limply dangled. I love a limply dangling foot.
Oh dear.
Please welcome to the stage, limply dangling.
The third.
I also liked Babette, but only as the kind of peeling, sun-exposed pink wolf thing.
She was cute. There's quite a lot of monsters that just like you'd see for a split second when they're flashing through Midian. One of them was this woman holding what looks like a giant swollen baby, and that giant swollen baby was my favorite character.
Good choice. Also, when the priest got like burned or whatever happened to that
he got covered in the magical jizz from before it.
And he loved it.
Yes, he did.
When he ran out, you saw someone that looked just normal, but with a big, massive head.
Yeah.
And it really reminded me did you ever play Theme Hospital?
No. What is it?
It's like Sim City, like not Sim City. Yeah, it's kind of like, it was like a PC game.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I had it on PlayStation 1. It's where you build a hospital. and people come and visit and they have all these funny illnesses and you've got to like, it's really fun. It's more fun and less weird than it sounds. And there was this one illness where people had these big bloated heads and you had to install like a little machine that like deflated their heads.
Oh, fun.
Anyway, there was a man that reminded me of them.
Sure.
He was my third favorite.
And my favorite. Spoopiest. Did you have a spoopiest?
I didn't have a
moment?
spoopiest moment, actually.
I thought when you first see Dr. Decker in the house, when she closes the fridge and you see it.
When it was a bit more kind of traditional slashery.
Yeah, I think that was the only bit really that could be described as scary.
Yeah.
I think if you were little, you'd find like things like the berserkers scary, but yeah, generally it's not a very scary film.
Yeah, and I guess the effects haven't necessarily aged well. Like they're really cool and campy, but they're not like, oh no, a berserk.
Yeah, because I was scared of the berserkers when I watched it. But yeah, like looking at them now, it's like weird lumpy monsters.
Yeah.
Did you have a most hilarious bit?
I didn't find it a lol fest, to be honest.
I did laugh a lot, but I think it was sort of unintentional. So I don't have a standout lols moment either, really.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Which seems sad because
we even managed a lols moment for the orphanage.
No, to be fair, we did laugh at him dancing with your favorite bit with him dancing.
Oh yeah, I think he was maybe the funniest character actually.
Yeah,
Face.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, his kind of weird, like kind of coquettish flirtiness as well. Like, yeah, maybe he was the funniest character.
Yeah. Best death.
My favorite death was the Nightbreed with the kind of the arms that came out of his belly when he plucked the eyes out of the policeman.
Yeah, that's like
I like to see more of that happening to policemen.
More, please.
Exactly.
And my favourite was I've already talked about the bit where Boone has got the knife through him and he hugs Dr. Decker to death with the giant sword.
Yeah, nice.
That's pretty cool. Worst death?
I didn't necessarily have a worst death.
No, I didn't.
I don't know if you can tell, but I did find this all very difficult to follow.
I guess, like, yeah, I mean, like, during the battle scene, there's probably something that's not that interesting. Like, the berserkers do seem to just pick people up and throw them rather than ripping them up.
Yeah, I think given the build-up to the berserkers, the way that they go on a ramp, they're dreadful, they can't be controlled, and then they're just like, wee! Yeah,
they just throw people around, and like, they don't even rip off their heads and shit down their necks.
No.
As promised. So, yeah, maybe the worst deaths are just the berserkers and what they do. Queerest moment.
I have two, maybe. One is when the priest with the dog collar, when he takes the dog collar off and he's like, I have to see, take me with you. Especially because he does that almost directly after being called a faggot as well. I find him a really interesting character, actually, because he's also a priest in prison.
Yeah, he has a weird bloody hand that's never really explained as well.
And I guess that kind of the idea of a priest in prison, especially in a film in 1990 or whenever it was made.
Yeah,
like that seems like you wouldn't expect to see a priest in prison, essentially.
I think it's
because they're supposed to represent good.
A bit crazy, and I think that the cop is thinking that he can use his crazy to rabble rouse the vigilante group. Which he ends up not doing. He ends up being like, please stop killing everyone. I love them. I want to be them.
Yeah, I find him a very queer character.
Yeah.
And then the other bit is your best death, the huggy, stabby thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite a queer moment to end, because that is the death you're waiting for throughout.
Yeah.
Of his single arch nemesis.
Yeah.
And it's a really intimate way to kill someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I think I've already mentioned mine. Well, I think for me, like, it's the relationship between the blue demon and the guy with the slits on his chest.
I can't believe I missed this interview.
Yeah, I mean, they were quite kind of intimate, and so like they look like they were in a loving relationship, to be honest. And yeah, and then obviously the way that Narcissus is really flirting and talking about his tattoos, and he goes like, "Oh, sailors."
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess there's a whole kind of sailor thing as well. Like, whereas that's
Yeah.
kind of seen as like a symbol of queerness.
Yeah.
Um,
And on to sexiest character.
I have two. One who I
Yeah.
think might be the same as yours,
Sure.
which is Boone.
Yes.
Like Boone is
a fitty.
objectively hot.
Yes.
Nice board, nice face, lovely luscious
Got it all going on.
luscious.
But
But also Cheryl Ann is a babe,
yeah.
and she's really cool. She's really confident. She's gone out to a pub on her own just to get some D.
Yeah.
She
Cool.
kind of she's hot. I really think she's great.
Yeah, obviously, as you said, Boone, I think he's a fitty. There's that weird scene right at the beginning where after he's taken the LSD and he sets fire to all his stuff, and he sees himself in like a white, the tighty whities coming down the stairs, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing, Booney? Giving me a Booney."
Oh, I've got a Boone on.
I've got a real bone on. And the other one is actually Baphomet. I think he's like really hot.
Yeah, he is actually.
And it's just like the way that he was speaking was quite sexy and seductive.
And also like gentle. Like this is what I really liked about. He wasn't like, "Why have you destroyed?" He was like, not every house lasts forever. I still have to find a new one, but I'm gonna leave it to you. Bye.
Yeah, to the ground. Bye. Should we talk about pumpkins?
Let's talk about pumpkins.
Yeah.
How many pumpkins out of 5?
I mean, I enjoy a fantasy horror romp more than perhaps you do. Even with that, and the monster design, which I think was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
God, I'll scribble out that other half pumpkin then, because I'm also going to give it a 2.5.
Oh,
I struggle to watch it. I think it's too long. It's very beautiful to look at. I love it aesthetically, and I think I appreciate it more having spoken about it more now.
Yeah.
I did struggle to follow the plot a little bit, and also I feel like, I mean, obviously it fits within the horror genre, but it is a fantasy film with horror characters.
Yeah.
I think more so, and it's a bit too action heavy for me. I would have liked more dialogue and more character development. But on the whole, it is a romp and it's good.
Yeah, I think it's very watchable despite you zoning out.
I think it was the length of it, you know. I really do. Like, I feel like I like it kind of like, unless there's a lot of like we, you know, Hereditary and The Orphanage were long films, but not Hereditary, Midsummer. But they're jam-packed with plot.
Yeah,
this was jam-packed with action, which I find less interesting.
Yeah, and there was lots of reveals of like new monsters and new prosthetics and new faces and giant babies. Yeah, with not much sort of like character development. You're right. I'm kind of curious, actually. I didn't read about it in terms of what the cut would have been like with the director's cut, essentially, whether that would have been more character development. Sort of interesting as well that Dr. Decker was only a secondary character, how that fits into it, really, like, because he does seem to drive the plot, like, essentially.
Well, I mean, I wonder if maybe the people who meddled with Clive Barker's vision maybe did us a bit of a favor, because I think without him, I feel like in this film, it was difficult to know what people's motivations were. And I think part of that was by design, because we're supposed to question who's good and who's bad. But a lot of the time, I was just like, so why is he doing this? Like, what's the motivation for this? I really struggled with that.
It was funny, actually, because I was thinking with all the kind of guest stars and the fact that David Cronenberg's in it and all the people that he loves from Hellraiser and all these things, I wonder, it just seemed like he was like, oh my God, guys, I got 11 million. Let's have a party.
Yeah.
All my friends can come.
Was this before or after Hellraiser, the first one?
It's after the second one, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
I like this better than Hellraiser's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think Hellraiser suffers with the same problems for me. I mean, Hellraiser is like a neater, tighter film that has a more clear narrative.
Yeah.
But it does just seem like in both films, like he's kind of rushing through the plot so he can show you all of the cool monsters.
Yeah.
And for this one, for me, the monsters were better.
Yeah.
And also, like, especially Hellraiser 2, that was a messy plot. Like, that is just like, look at these shocking things.
It's a messy bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's as good as the first Hellraiser, maybe.
Yes. I think, well, I still prefer Hellraiser 1 at least. But yeah, I do, I do have a place in my heart for Nightbreed. I think I saw it when I was quite young, and I do remember some of the monsters. And like, interesting, the one that looks like quite fat with the body, like with the face in the middle of his belly. I just remember him being in it more. But
he also features in a lot of the art, like the promotional stuff.
Yeah. Maybe it was just that they were just really pleased with themselves about how they made it, but they didn't have a story for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I just remember it from the posters. But yeah, I mean, it just seemed like a lot of work went into like the kind of like the character design.
I guess I wonder if it makes, because it did go on to be a comic book series, didn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if it works better in that format because of the kind of the denseness of the world building and stuff that you can't get to see much of in a 2-hour film.
And I guess I said at the beginning that his plan for it was the Star Wars of horror movies, and was to have like sequels and sequels and sequels, and so just set the groundwork for this kind of like giant sort of really like expansive horror community that then would have like filled up the later stories, and that probably makes more sense. Maybe if he'd known it was going to be just a one-off standalone, he would have just sort of pared back a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, maybe he should have anyway if he was going to develop stuff more, because I think it's messy. I think it's messy, but great.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, I wonder what it would have been. Yeah, I mean, it's impossible. Well, it's not impossible, but apparently the recut version is like quite kind of differing in quality, and it sort of like almost feels like a bootleg, because of the recut footage from all the videos and stuff that they found. But I wonder how that flows actually, and whether that makes more sense or makes a difference.
Yeah.
But
you can't sniff at 2.5 pumpkins, can you?
No, delicious.
It's time for the spoopy bit. And inspired by the sinister underground goings on of Nightbreed, I thought to share a little anecdote about the hallowed tunnels of the catacombs of Gay Paris.
Oh, the gay holes.
So the catacombs were established as a kind of public health measure because the cemeteries of Paris were overflowing. Too many dead people, not enough space. Classic. So in 1786, it was decided that bodies from the cemetery would be transferred to the existing tunnels underground, which had been made for mining lime.
The old multi-bodies that were already there.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And there ended up being over 6 million bodies, mainly bones. And the tunnels are between 200 and 300 miles worth under Paris, although only 1.5 miles of those today are accessible to the public. The rest, it's been illegal to enter since 1955. And there are... You look confused.
Yeah, why is it illegal? Just because they're so moldy?
Well, I think it's because they're so cumbersome and take over the whole... Like, they're like 200, 300 miles worth, so they're probably very difficult to kind of police. ACAB. All of that space. But it also has loads of secret entrances. Most of them have been covered up, but they do occasionally discover new ones. And this story makes a reference to one of those secret entrances, which probably wasn't a secret entrance, actually. So just an entrance, I guess. So there were a lot of, and there still are a lot of cataphiles, they're called, which is kind of people who explore the tunnels.
Not people who fuck cats.
No. Not that I know of. In the 1990s, a group of men, cataphiles, if you will, were exploring, and they came across a discarded video camera, and it was lying in a puddle, and it was covered in mold. So it had obviously been there for a while. And obviously, as it was the 90s, it was one of those cameras that had the videotape inside of it. Giant. They watched it back, and it was still in completely working order apart from the mold.
This is a true story. This sounds like a found footage horror.
Well, maybe I'll be getting to that.
Okay.
So they watched the videotape and
They all died in 7 days.
yes. And then little girl crawled out of the well. So the video it was filmed by a man who was exploring the tunnels, and it's thought he would have been exploring the tunnels in 1993. Although there are, well, we don't.
Okay.
He could, his voice could be read as male.
Oh, sad.
And it was kind of just his point of view, and it was just it's like quite poorly lit, and it's in black and white, and it's just lit from the light on the camera, because at the time it wasn't, I don't know if only parts of it would have been lit.
Yeah.
And it's of him just exploring tunnels, and you can kind of hear his breathing, and he'll occasionally kind of stop and pick up some bones and have a look at them.
You do.
Just cruising for bones. And then as the video progresses, he starts to get a bit more frantic and starts breathing very heavily and starts to run. And occasionally turns around with the camera to look behind him as if there's someone chasing him. And he's getting very, very panicked. And the video, or the last we see of him in the video, is he drops the camera in the puddle and you see him running away. And he was never heard from or seen again. So the camera just kept recording until it ran out of tape. So the man was never identified, nor was he ever found. And this video was made public in 2000 on a TV show called Scariest Places on Earth. Many think it's a hoax because they think it was made just for the TV show.
Right.
Because the fact that the man has never been identified, there's never been kind of like a missing person who went out with a video camera who's been kind of, that anyone knew anything about.
Yeah.
And the fact that even the cataphiles who found it weren't named, it just seems a little like it might be a lie. But there has been some research done about the fact that, because obviously it seems like he's running away from something or someone.
Yeah.
But there's research done about the effects of disorientation and isolation. And obviously it's very easy to get lost in those kind of, less accessible areas of it. And the effects of disorientation and isolation include panic, walking in circles, drops in mental performance, and even hallucinating. And death drops and dropping cameras. So it's unknown whether that was real or not, but I think most people think it was a fraud. However, in 2017, 2 teenagers were lost in the catacombs for 3 days. They never really said why they were down there or how they got down there, but when they were found, they had to be taken to hospital to be treated for hypothermia. But then there is someone that we know definitely did get lost.
We know.
Someone, yes, intimately, from 1783. It was a man called Philibert Asper.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you know Philly. Philibert. I realise now that is how you pronounce it, because I was thinking it was Philibert, but it's French, isn't it?
Yeah.
Philibert.
Mm-hmm.
So he went missing from his home or at least he had been missing from his home since 1783. He worked in a hospital as the porter, and there was a staircase into the catacombs from the hospital's courtyard. So he went down there, got lost, wasn't found until kind of 11 years after he went missing, but his body was found.
Alive or dead?
His living corpse was found. When it was found, it was only like a few feet away from an exit. So, yes, unknown what went on there. But his ghost allegedly haunts the tunnels now. But he's seen as being like a protective figure who's kind of is protecting people from something in the tunnel. And it might be that he's just protecting them from suffering the same fate that he did, which is just getting a bit lost.
Yeah.
So I recommend you don't become a cataphile unless you have a trail of breadcrumbs to leave behind you. If that's my advice.
Glow in the dark.
Glow in the dark breadcrumbs.
If you're enjoying Bloody Marys,
Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends.